Welcome. Happy it's Friday. Happy that it's time for zero. We're gonna go at a turtle's pace, as always, linear, so don't be disappointed or surprised. This game be slow. Alright, let's hop over to Steins Gate 0. May the capture, please capture, thank you. And then we'll head on straight into there. Let's get started. So, a quick recap. This is after our first meeting with Dr. Leskinen and Maho, after us having spent, I guess, 2 weeks with Amadeus Kurisu. And, nothing too terribly surprising in that conversation, except that apparently Kurisu's mother, according to Maho, gifted Maho her personal laptop, and Maho has been trying to tap into it. And I don't know how to think about that. So that's where we are. Oh, and there was a time leave, time travel, time jump, restructuring of war line, something like that. That was not started by us. So that's another point of interest. But other than that, that was about it. All right. When I finished talking to the professor, I went to the lab. I confirmed on the phone that Mayuri was just fine, but I wanted to see her for myself. Because we're concerned that we're back in a world where Mayuri dies over and over and over again. I could see from the outside that the lights in the lab were on. I ran up the stairs to get away from the cold and opened the door.
Mayuri, いるか?
I felt a small impact on my chest when I opened the door. Uh-oh. Oh.
悪い。
いえ、僕の方こそごめんなさい。
Evidently, he was just about to leave. Rukako looked up at me, apologetic. For some reason, he was blushing a little. Oh, cute. Only Daru and Rukako were in the room. There was no sign of Mayuri or Suzuha.
よかった。もう少し早く帰っていたら、岡部さんと入れ違いになっているところでした。
もしかして、俺を待っていたのか？
はい。と言っても、別に大した用があったわけじゃないんです。差し入れを持ってきただけで。
おまんじゅうもらったよ。
Manju. Yum. It's like a meat bun. Daru had already eaten about half the box.
いただき物ですから。皆さんでどうぞ。
そうか。ありがとう。
つうか、ルカシ、時間大丈夫なん？
Lukako looked up at the clock and started to fidget.
実はこの後、お家にお客さんが来ることになってるんです。
客？ルカ子のか？
いえ、父のお客さんです。なぜか僕にも同席してほしいと言われまして。父は普段同じ趣味を持った人を呼んで長い時間話し込んだりするんです。難しい話ばかりで僕にはよく理解できないので、普段はお茶を出すぐらいしかしないんですけど、どうして同席してほしいと言われたのか。
難しい話って宗教とかそっち系の話か？
Lukako's family ran the Yanabayashi Shrine, one of the oldest in Akihabara.
そういうわけではないみたいなんですけど、この前のお客さんとは有明がどうとか晴海の頃はどうとか、そういうお話をしてました。
Oh, history stuff.
晴海、有明。
Weren't those
さ
places?
すがルカシのパパ、恐ろしい子。
岡部さんや橋田さんはわかるんですか？
まあなんとなくはな。でもその話はまた今度だ。客が来るなら早く帰った方がいい。
Wait, actually, I don't. Harumi?
それじゃあ僕はこれでまた来ますね。
I'm sure the game will tell us in 5 hours. We'll find out then. My brain is not operating. He bowed deeply and disappeared out the door. I watched him go, then sat down on the
帰るわ。
sofa.
メイクインじゃね？今日は来てないよ。
And I guess I'll have to wait a little bit. Or should I go get her?
そういえばオカリン、さっきの電話だけどさ、あれ、なんだったん？
He was probably talking about the phone call I had placed on him before I went to see the professor.
あれは気にしないでくれ。多分俺の勘違いだ。
そうなん？だったらいいけどさ。
I remembered the strange sensation I had experienced. I wondered if I had shifted between world lines, but several hours had passed and nothing had changed. Well, there was something slightly different with Kurisu, right? Actually, I wasn't even sure if I had really experienced it anymore. Memories were like that, especially for me.
それにしてもハルミとは、さすがはルカシのパパ、ベテラン戦士っすな。
戦士がどうしたって？
Suzuha got back before Mayuri
ルカ
did.
兄さんのお父さんって戦士なの？
How come he gets Mr. when I'm stuck being Uncle Okarin?
そうだお。それも戦士の中の戦士、歴戦の強者と言っても過言じゃないのだぜ。
へえ、そうなんだ。でもルカ兄さんの家って確か神職だと聞いたけど。ああ、そうか。神職の人も昔は兵士だったって言うよね。
She convinced herself.
確かにルカ兄さんはすごかったし納得だ。
Amazing? What was amazing? I decided to just pretend I never heard that. It still felt awkward looking at Suzuha. I'd avoid coming to the lab mostly to avoid seeing her. You're running away from your problems.
オカリンおじさん、そんな顔しないでよ。
Evidently, she could read my thoughts just from the look on my face. She seemed upset.
私のことを避けてるのは分かってるからさ。
お前が悪いわけじゃないんだけどな。
つうかスズハ、今日もこんな時間まで何してたん？はっ、もしかしてどこかの男とデートとか？いけません。そんなどこの誰とも知らない男とのお付き合いなんてお父さんは許しませんよ。
I wonder what's going through Daru's head.
違
My
うよ
god.
そんなんじゃない。
本当に？
I thought it was a joke, but evidently he was serious about it. His tone was far less joking than usual. It must be hard being a dad.
本当だって。
だったら父さんの目を見て言いなさい。
父さんがそれ言う？
どういう意味なんそれ？
母さんというものがありながらいっつもそこで変なゲームばかりやってるじゃないか。
Oh dear. Don't bring up those weird games.
それは2次元と3次元はあくまで別物ですし。
お前2次元も3次元も関係ないって前に言ってなかったか？
おかりん、そういうことここで言う？裏切るなんてひどいよ。
I've never been on Daru's side when it comes to his hobbies, so. Good.
ご本。とにかくそういうことなら今日は何をしていたのか父さんに言いなさい。
何って。
やましいことがないなら言えるはずだよ。
I don't know, it's her life. Suzuha glanced at me, then sighed in resignation. The music stopped. Okay.
人を探していたんだ。
That's right, Kagari, right? We lost, or not we. That's a royal we. Suzuha lost Kagari in 1975. So maybe she survived to 2010?
人？それってやっぱ男？
違うって言ってるじゃないか。小さな女の子。今はもう私より年上になっちゃってるか。
That was a strange way to put it. I glanced over at Daru, who looked back at me.
実はさ、私が乗ってきたタイムマシンにはもう一人乗っていたんだ。
なんだって。
すずは、そんなん初耳なんだけど。
今まで話してなかったからね。
She was looking down at her feet, and I could see her regretted bringing it up.
その同乗者は何者だ？今どうしてるんだ？
どうしているかはわからない。
わからないって。
はぐれちゃったんだよね。1998年にここ秋葉原で。
98? Not 70. Oh no, she went to 75. And then went to 98 to try to solve the Y2K? 1998, that would have been 12 years ago. So it wasn't just Suzuha who came from the future. It took some time for the meaning of that to sink in.
でも、なんでそんなことになったん？
How old was Kagari? 9? Younger? If she's even younger than that, she could be Kurisu.
私とその子は IBN5100 を探すためにはじめ1975年に飛んだ。理由はおじさんならわかるよね。
I nodded silently.
なんとか無事に IBN5100 を手に入れた私たちは今度は1998年に飛んだ。2000年問題を回避するミッションのためにね。
Yep, the Y2K issue. Alright. Tips. Year 2000 problem, popularly known as the Y2K bug or simply Y2K, a term referring to when, at the turn of the 21st century, there was concern over the possibility of widespread computer failure when the year 2000 began. In order to save memory space, old operating systems almost always abbreviated years to the final two digits. Hence, when 1999 changed to 2000, the last two digits would change from 99 to 00. However, if its programming didn't anticipate that change, the computer could erroneously assume that the year was 1900. Because of this, it was rumored that computers in the military, financial, and government sectors might malfunction and cause worldwide catastrophe. To address this issue, countermeasures were taken in the mid-1990s to manually update every program.
2000年問題？
That was one of the big events at the end of the last century, along with Nostradamus' prophecy. But in the end, after all the fuss made by media and pundits, nothing really happened. Was that because John Titor had come from the future to fix it? If that was the case, then wow. Dear Tom, welcome in. How have you been? Sincerely, Junie. No, I'm great. Happy Friday. How are you? I hope you did not bring banana pizza. Please leave those behind at the door before you come in. Thank you very much.
その1998年にトラブルが起きて、その子とはぐれちゃったんだ。
Ranting and raving at Warfare and Grind, as per usual. I think you enjoy it. I think you enjoy it very much. Okay, so we separated from Kagari in 1998.
それではぐれたままタイムマシンで跳躍したのか。
仕方なかったんだ。あの子は自分からタイムマシンを飛び出してしまったし、それに。
Oh. So Kagari ran away. She must have remembered something because she swallowed her words with a bitter
も
expression.
ちろん、私だって探した。燃料の残量が許す限り、何度も細かいタイムトラベルを繰り返して、あの子の姿を探し回った。でも。
In the end, she never managed to find her.
大体の事情は分かったけどさ、どうして今までそんな大事なことを黙ってたん？
あの子を見失ったのは私の落ち度だ。ちゃんと自分で責任を取りたかったんだ。
水臭いな。
Daru's words are very soft.
僕たち親子だろ。困った時は頼ってくれてもいいのだぜ。
It's very strange to see Daru acting all fatherly. Especially with that voice. I don't know. It's just not coming together for me.
父さん、
その子を探せばいいんだろ。だったら僕らも手伝う。な、オカリン。
なって俺もか。
当たり前だろ。別に未来を変えてくれっつってるわけじゃないんだし、それくらいやってくれてもいいっしょ。
まあ。
To be honest, after refusing all her requests to save the world, I was feeling a little guilty. I'd like to help her if I could, but I wanted to know what she'd do after she found her.
で、その子の名前と年齢は？ちなみに可愛い女の子だよね。男とか言ったら父さん許さないぞ。
Daru?
女だよ。
オッケー。名前とスリーサイズもやろう。
No, you don't. No, stop. Daru,
ス
do
リー
not.
サイズなんて知らないよ。だって別れた時のあの子は10歳だったんだから。
She was 10, so she'd be 22 right now.
幼女か。
じゃあ今は22歳になってるはずだな。
I know. Linnea, we should bring out the pitchforks.
名前プリーズ。
名前はカガリ。
Sina
カガリって言うん
Kagari.
だ。
Brain tea? I don't have brains, but I have tea. So I have some tea. Linnea has the recipe. Well, I'll need to get some brains then, I guess. Well, who knows anything? By the end of this conversation, I might have some leaking out my ears, but... Sina Kagari.
シーナ。
Doesn't that remind you of someone like Mayuri Shina? The name was an unusual one. A girl who was part of Daru's group in the future who had this name Shina.
すずはまさかその子って。
うん。彼女の母親の名前は椎名真由里。
Oh, tangerine. I know. It's a freaking delicious tea. I have the candy cane green right now. It's actually decaffeinated, so that's why I'm having it, but we'll be definitely doing tomorrow's with tangerine. You can pretend that tangerine's a brain, Tom, right? It's like circular, it's round. Gets the job done with a little bit of imagination.
Kagari は
Awesome.
真由姉さんの子供なんだ。
Mayuri's daughter. Of course, it was possible that Mayuri would choose to have a child in the future, but the fact that I had never even thought about it made the shock that much worse. If she had a daughter, she must have had a partner. Well, she could have been, I think Kagari was adopted, right? Yeah, she was an orphan. And that partner couldn't be me. Because I died in 2025. Wait a second. If she was 10 in 2036, then she would have been born in 2026. I'd have to learn more, but if I died in 2025, wasn't it just possible, maybe, barely, that it could be me? What is this saying about Okarin? Are we just entertaining the possibilities, or is it that we actually want it to be us? That just couldn't be. Just like Suzuha had appeared before Daru, she was going to appear before me? Who was the dad? I couldn't ask.
あれちょい待ち。シーナってことは名字はそのままってことだよね。ってことは。
Oh yeah, that's right. It is very customary. I don't know if it's legally required, but after marriage, women would take on their husband's last name. I would use the word customary in Japan. So if Mayuri kept her name as Shina, that usually would mean she was not.
かがりは戦災孤児だよ。身寄りがなかった彼女を真由姉さんが引き取って育てたんだ。
ああ、なんかそれ、まゆしらしいかも。
I realized I was relieved in more ways than one, and I hated myself a little for it. Even if she did marry someone else in the future, as long as that made her happy, it was for the best. Oh.
私は真由姉さんからかがりを頼むって言われたんだ。だからこんなことになっちゃいけなかった。あの子はいつだって真由姉さんにべったりだったし、この時代には知り合いなんているはずもないから、きっとずっと心細い思いをしてるはずなんだ。
その子はどうしてはぐれてしまったんだ？さっきトラブルと言ったが。
If she'd come to a new era in the time machine at 10 years old, Suzuha would have been the only person she could rely on. There was no way she'd leave Suzuha and run off on her own.
私にもわからない。ただ過去に飛んでからのかがりは精神的にかなり不安定だった。
Unstable. That makes sense, come to think of it. A young girl just 10 years old was suddenly taken to a world where she knew no one. Of course she'd be
そ
scared.
の子の写真か何かはある？
But why would she run away from the only person she knew?
あ、うん。
She showed me a tattered picture of with two girls in it. One was an adult woman. I couldn't see her face, but maybe it was Mayuri. It is Mayuri, 20 years from now. Hiding behind her was another girl. Was that Shina Kagari?
この子が22歳に成長してるわけか。いまいち想像がつかないな。
That is, if she was still alive. Even if Japan was a safe, peaceful country, it would be hard for a young girl to get by on her own. If she was lucky, someone might take her in and give her to an orphanage, but if she wasn't. Suzuha was probably well aware of that possibility, so I didn't bring it up. Good choice.
なおかりん、協力してくれよ。
まゆりの養女なんだろう。だったら見つけてやりたいさ。でも鈴葉はいいのか？俺が手伝っても。
I felt sure that Suzuha was disgusted with me. I had a chance to save the world, and I'd given up. Would she want help from a person like that?
おじさんさえ良ければ、人手は大いに越したことはないと思うから。
そうか。だったら手を貸すよ。
Of course, I didn't think this would make up for
あ
that.
りがとう。マユシーの養女がどうしたの？
Well, another parents joined the ranks. Everyone turned around at the sudden voice.
てるおかり、本当に待っててくれたんだね。
She always appears with such happy music. It's incredible. Mayuri.
どうしたの？
The moment I saw her, I finally relaxed.
よかった。まゆり。
I took her small hand in mine and felt the warmth. She was alive.
おかりん？
すまない。
別に嫌じゃないから大丈夫。まゆ姉さん、いつからいたの？今来たばっかりだよ。
I was careless. I was so focused on what Suzuha was saying that I didn't see Mayuri come into the room.
ねえねえ、マユシーの養女がなんとかって聞こえたけど、何の話をしてたのかな？
それはその。
Crap. Mayuri knew that Suzuha was from the future, but telling her about her future daughter would be going too far. I needed to change the subject.
まゆりはまだまだ幼い。つまり養女だと言っていたんだよ。な。
え？あ、そうそう。マユシは養女かわいい。
Oh, please. This is when Hoin Kyoma would have been very useful, I feel, right?
童顔だってよく言われるんだ。ユキさんみたいに大人っぽくなりたいんだけどね。
You're cute. Don't ever change, Mayuri.
食べる量だけは立派に大人かもしれないな。
えへへ。
That wasn't a compliment, Mayuri. That was enough to distract her, evidently.
そうだ。食べ物といえば、オカリンはクリスマスに何か食べたいものある？
クリスマス？パーティーのことか？別に何でもいいぞ。食べられるものならな。
クリスマスパーティーか。
As long as it is edible and it doesn't give us a stomach ache.
すずさんは初めて？私たちの時代はパーティーなんてやってる余裕なかったからね。でも一度だけ父さんがどこからか美味しいチキンを調達してきてくれたことがあったっけ。それをマヨ姉さんが調理するって言って父さんが止めて。
And there's a reason why. Suzuha was looking at Mayuri as if she was remembering the past or future, as the case might be.
いつもよりほんの少しだけごちそうってだけだったけど、それでも嬉しかったな。
In the future, when World War III was going on, there probably wasn't much time for celebration. But even then, Mayuri was still Mayuri, trying her best to make everyone happy.
ダルくんは何か欲しいものある？
僕は可愛い女の子がサンタコスしてくれればそれだけでお腹いっぱいだお。
料理はどれくらいいるかな？
Perfect. Yes, ignore that comment.
ユキさんと一緒に用意する予定なんだけどね。そうだ、ルカ君やフェリシちゃんにも手伝ってもらおうかな。
Mayuri's head was full of thoughts about the Christmas party, it
オ
seemed.
カリンは誰かパーティーに呼びたい人いる？
Oh, we were thinking about inviting Maho, right?
俺は別に。
I almost said no, but then I remembered someone. Kiazo Maho. She said Christmas is something that you always spend with your family, but
オカリン？
いや、特には。
how was she going to spend her Christmas? It was after I walked Mayuri home. The second I was alone, I started thinking about this afternoon. If that was truly a world line change, then what was the cause? The most likely possibility was that someone had succeeded in developing something like the phone wave named subject to change. We were able to make one. There was no reason someone else couldn't. Another possibility was that, no, there's no use thinking about it. I was just mistaken. And even if the world line did change, we weren't the cause. We didn't have anything to do with anymore. We didn't have anything to do with it anymore. Whenever I was alone, I always ended up thinking about things that wouldn't do me any good. Dang, you're not the only one. I took the phone out of my pocket and tapped on the icon, Amadeus. Yes, please connect us to Kurisu. Kurisu's expression was self-satisfied as ever.
こんな時間にどうかした？
いや、なんとなく話がしたくなって。迷惑だったか？
別に迷惑ってことはないわ。あんたと話すことは私のためにもなるんだし。
She was an AI, after all. She wouldn't be bothered, no matter the hour.
先輩とは会ってきたのよね。
That we have. Do we tell? Can we tell on Maho?
ああ。
何の話をしたの？
何って、お前とのやりとりについて報告をしただけだが。
それだけ？どこかへ誘ったりは？
まだそんなこと言ってるのか？ヒアジョーさんに言ってみろ。また怒られるぞ。
だってようやく先輩にも運が向いてきたかもしれないんだもの。せっかくのチャンスを掴んでもらいたいでしょ。
Kurisu seemed insistent on getting me and Maho together. Sheesh, doesn't she have other things to think about? Things to think about. Would she have anything to say about that other matter?
なあ、ちょっと相談なんだが、消息不明になった人を探すにはどうすればいい？
随分と唐突ね。
身近でそんな話があったんだよ。でも自分たちじゃどうすればいいのかわからなくてな。
詳しく教えて。
They're falling back into their old patterns, aren't they? Where Okarin will come to Kurisu with questions, well, not questions, but like problems to solve, and she would anchor him and solve them for him. She leaned forward, suddenly interested. She really was a curious girl.
それが
言えないことなの？
俺だけの問題じゃないからな。
それで相談に乗ってくれって言われても無理がある。
だよな。一般論でいいんだ。意見を聞かせてくれるだけで。
そうね。一番いいのは警察に行くことね。
That was the obvious and correct answer.
あとは更新所に頼むとか、過去の新聞記事を当たるとか。あ、でもそういうことはもうやってるか。
Detective agent. Oh, like a PI? Detective agency, a company that investigates corporations or individuals. Most commonly used to do background checks on prospective marriage partners or clients, or to see if a spouse is having an affair.
どうかな。
どうかなって。まさかそんなこともやらずに探そうとしてるの？
俺も今日聞かされたばかりなんだ。後で確認してみる。
But Kagari was from the future, and Suzuha didn't have any personal documents in this era either, which meant that it was unlikely she'd gone to anybody in the
アメリカなん
government.
かではダウジングや通しで人探しをやるなんて人もいるよな。
Huh?
まさかあんな何の科学的根拠もないものを信じるとでも？
いや、
Clairvoyance?
言ってみただけだ。
よかった。もしそうだとでも言ったら二度と話なんかしないところだったわ。
She really was just like
あり
Kurisu.
がとう。参考になったよ。
見つかることを祈ってるわ。
ああ、それと
何？
いや、なんでもない。
何よ。気になるでしょ。
本当になんでもないんだ。それじゃあ今日はこれで。
Okay. Were we gonna tell her about the word line change? Why was I just about to say that? Oh, okay, never mind. I was just about to tell her about Mayuri's Christmas party to see if she wanted to go. Kurisu was just an AI. She only existed inside of a computer. I guess I was just starting to see her as a real person. Oh no.
どう父さん、何か手がかりはあった？
いや、残念ながらこっちは何にも。
そう。
The search for Mayuri's future daughter, Shina Kagari, was taking longer than
一
expected.
つ聞くが、警察には行ったのか？
うん。一応言ったんだけどね。でも、捜索願いなんかは出してない。
I was right. Well, okay, let's be honest. Who would be filing a missing persons report? Right? Like, Suzuha was the only one who knew her. I was right. In order to submit a missing persons report, you needed to have an ID to prove who you were. That's why Suzuha hadn't done it. And also, I later learned that the only people who could submit a search request were people like family and significant others who were close to the missing person.
僕の方でも昨日軽く警察のデータベースにハッキングをかけてみたんだけど、それっぽい情報は出てこんかったよ。
だろうな。
つうことは、オカリンも見てみたん？
ダルのように内部情報を見たわけじゃないがな。
There was a database of missing persons on the police homepage, but it didn't go back very far, and it didn't have a lot of information. All he had was age, sex, clothes, and sometimes possessions they were carrying. Since we knew nothing about Shina Kagari, we had basically nothing to go on.
でもさ、一見平和に思えるこの世界でも身元不明者や行方不明者ってたくさんいるんだね。
I thought the same thing. Each year, over one shower, yes, there was one shower scene. It wasn't a cutscene, but there was one shower so far in this game. I heard from someone that there would be a lot of showers in this game, so we're keeping track. How are you doing, Wild? Welcome in. Happy Friday! It's Friday. Each year, over 100 unidentified bodies were found in Tokyo alone. Holy crap. If you expanded that to cover all of Japan, then went back 12 years, you'd have a pretty big number. And the number of missing persons was far greater. Each year, almost 100,000 people went missing. And out of every 5 was in their teens. I wonder if these are actual numbers. 100,000 is a lot. Of course, most of them just ran away from home, and 70% were found within a week after a report was filed. But if the 70% of them were found in the first week, that meant that 30% of them weren't. In fact, oh my god, genius. In fact, 5% of them were never found at all, and no one ever knew if they were alive or dead. Perhaps Shina Kagari was caught up in an accident or killed, or perhaps... I sat up, then got off the sofa.
オカリン、どっか行くん？
もうちょっと調べてみようと思ってな。
School would be on break soon anyway, and it wasn't like I had anything to do. And while I hadn't been very interested at first, at some point I'd become really interested in the whereabouts of Shina Kagari. And more than anything,
ありがとう、オカリンおじさん。
別にこれくらい大したことじゃない。
it's helping us mend our relationship with Suzuha.
うん、それでもありがとう。
As long as I was looking for Kagari, Suzuha probably wasn't going to bother me about the future. Having her bring up the same thing every time we met was hard for me. If I could get her focused on something else, then that would make things easier. Or so I thought, but finding clues weren't easy. Just in case, I'd gone to the National Diet Library. What? And looked at articles on missing persons and crimes in 1998, the year she had gotten separated from Suzuha, but I had no luck. Okay. National Diet Library, Japan's only national library. The library consists of the main building in Tokyo and Kansai branch in Kyoto, and several other branches located throughout the country. The main building is located on First Avenue in Nagata Chiyoda Ward and is typically what people were referring to when talking about the National Diet Library. All works published in Japan are kept at this library, and while normal citizens are allowed to view said works, they do not allow them to be checked out. Suzu has said she had been looking for Kagari every few years on her way to our time, so I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I couldn't help but feel a little tired and disappointed.
どうかした？
あ、
何？
いや、
I'd called Kurisu without even realizing it somehow.
ねえ、
Reflex.
昨日よりさらに疲れてるみたいだけど、大丈夫？
そう見えるか。
声のトーンがいつもより低い。結膜に多少の充血も見られる。もしかして昨日言ってた件を調べてたの？
まあな。
I told Kurisu what I've heard from Suzuha and Daru and what I've found at the National Diet Library.
バカね。そんなことなら私に言ってくれれば簡単にことは済んだのに。
She is an II.
どういうことだ？
私ならネットワークに接続してオンライン上の情報をリサーチすることができるでしょ？
Oh no. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that's gonna make Kurisu way too powerful. Like now, all of the internet is at the tip of her fingers. Right? Okay.
あ、そうか。
I've forgotten. She was an AI that existed inside a computer. So something like that would be easy for her.
なんなら少しやってみましょうか。
すぐにできるのか？
それほど時間はかからない。
それじゃあ頼む。
わかった。少しだけ待ってて。
Kurisu fell silent on the screen and didn't move for a moment. All of her processing powers. Maybe 30 seconds later.
もう結果が出たのか？
ネットワーク上で検索してみたけど、1998年以降、椎名かがりという名の女性が何らかの事件や事故に巻き込まれたという情報は得られなかった。同姓同名の人物は3名ほど検出。ただ年齢を考慮するとその人物があんたの探している人である可能性は限りなく低い。ご要望ならその人物のデータを後でメールで送るけど。
いや、いい。
When I stopped to think about it, even Suzuha would have been able to do a search for her name on the internet. And what Kurisu was saying was almost certainly right. The Makise Kurisu I had known was always right.
それじゃあ私にできることは以上かな。あとはあんたたちにしかできないやり方で探すしかないわね。
俺たちにしかできないやり方？
その人物がいなくなった場所の近辺で地道に情報を集めるの。究極的にアナログな方法だけどね。
やっぱりそうなるか。
I mean, it might be a good thing that we couldn't find records of Kagari in like accidents and deaths and stuff like that. But at the same time, maybe if she voluntarily ran away, it's very likely that she changed her name. Suza had been doing that forever, so I couldn't imagine I'd find anything new. But if that was my only option, then that was what I had to do.
にゃにゃ。じゃあ、じゃな
Oh,
かった。
Ferris.
おかりん。
I spun around when I heard a voice behind me.
やっぱりおかりん こんなところで何してるんだにゃ。
フェイリス、それに。
こんにちは、岡部さん。
Luca! I really like Luca's outfit.
なんだ、珍しい組み合わせだな。
ついさっきそこで会ったのにゃ。そしたらルカニャンが荷物いっぱい持ってたから、そこまで手伝ってあげることにしたのにゃ。
I took a closer look and saw that Lukaku was holding bags in both hands. If you added in what Ferris was carrying, it was quite a lot. He was trying to carry this all alone? Lukaku?
ねえ、ちょっと。
今何か聞こえませんでしたか？
いや、これは別に何でも。
I quickly hid the smartphone behind my back.
ちょっと、聞いてるの？ね
Like a boy stealing from the cookie jar.
また聞こえたにゃ。もしかしてさっきオカリンが話していたのはそれかにゃ。
いや、これは。
It shouldn't matter if they found out. But I still felt guilty, so I closed the Amadeus app. Oh, he hung up on her.
電話中だったのにゃ。
Oh my gosh, we're gonna get a earful once we open it up.
ああ、ちょっと知り合いに相談事をな。
相談ですか？
そういうことだったんだにゃ。後ろから見たらオカリンが一人でブツブツつぶやいているように見えたから、ちょっと心配したにゃ。
Did I look like she needed to worry about me? But well, if she saw me talking to my smartphone in a place like this, I guess I could understand that. Well, the parallels of us back in our Hoin Kyoma times, right? When we talked to a phone that was like not even on.
でも水臭いにゃ。何か困ったことがあるならフェイリスたちにも話してくれればいいのにゃ。
そうです。僕じゃお役に立てないかもしれないですけど、でもお話くらいなら。
ありがとう。でも、大したことじゃ。
No, wait a second. Both Ferris and Lukaku had lived in Akihabara since they were born, and both of their families held important positions here. Maybe asking them wouldn't be such a bad idea after all.
実は今、人を探してるんだが。
人ですか？
I told them I was looking for a girl who had gone missing 12 years ago in Akihabara. Of course, I didn't tell them that she was from the future or that she was Mayuri's daughter.
その子がどうして行方をくらませたのか激しく疑問だにゃ。
すまないが、そのあたりの事情は話せないんだ。
にゃー。
そういう話に心当たりはないかだけでも聞いてもらえれば助かるんだが。
わかったにゃ。とりあえずフェイリスの方は黒木に聞いてみるにゃ。
Kuroki? Who is that? Oh, Kuroki-san was her family butler. I've met him several times. In the same way that Ferris naturally looked like a maid, Kuroki-san just naturally looked like a butler. Come to think of it, it was rather strange for a maid to have a butler for a
あ
servant.
とレイクインニャンニャンのご主人様たちにもそれとなく聞いてみるにゃ。
僕の方もお父さんと、それから氏子の方たちにも聞いてみます。
悪いな。そうしてくれると助かる。
Both Kuroki-san and Lukaku's dad knew a lot of people, and they had a far better chance of finding someone than we did. I hoped they could at least find some small clue.
それはそうと、ルカ子。その山ほどの荷物はどうしたんだ？
あ、これは昨日 お父さんのお客さんが来るっていうお話はしましたよね。実はそのお客さんの一人がしばらくうちに滞在することになって。
それで必要なものを買い揃えていたそうにゃ。
If they were a guest of Rukako's father, they must be fairly old. And from what I had heard about yesterday, they probably had some unique hobbies.
それは大変だな。
いえ、僕もちょっと楽しいですし。
Fun? Rukako shared the same blood as his dad, so perhaps he had some latent interest in those
あんまり
hobbies.
のめり込みすぎないようにするんだぞ。
I gave him that warning and then went to leave. Well, I tried to leave, but
よいしょ。しょ。
he is so frail. Oh my goodness.
ルカにゃん、大丈夫かにゃ？フラフラしてるにゃ。
大丈夫です。僕だってこれくらい。
うん。
よかったらお茶でも飲んでいってください。
いや、遠慮しておくよ。お客さんだっているんだろ。
そうですけど。
I couldn't bear to see him struggle like that, so I had carried his bags to the shrine with him. Ferris had gone back to her cafe.
それにしても、この荷物、いくらなんでも一人で運ぶには無理があるだろ
僕だって最近は少し力がついてきたんですよ。今日も岡部さんに言われた素振りだって。
Oh. It's interesting how, and we saw that in the original Steins Gate too, but like how much of a I guess how much people relied on the persona of Hoin Kyoma, right? How much people appreciated it despite how dumb and stupid it is, right? Lukaku clearly relished in his relationship with Hoin Kyoma in that way. And Ferris too, right? Sword exercises. Samidare. That was the training I'd given him when he told me he felt too much like a
う。
girl.
精神残魔流か。
Yes. Yes, it was. Seishinzanma School, a style of swordmanship taught to Urusibara Luka, the descendant of the ancient protectors of Akihabara, by his master Hoin Kyoma. It functions to strengthen the mind and quell the evil flames that lurk within Urusibara. And only the cursed blade, Samidare, can bring out its true power. One of its fiercest, most secret techniques is known only as the Type 33 Cherry Blossom Rage, or at least that's what Okabe said when he made it up. It was so stupid, I couldn't even laugh.
すみません。
Thinking back, I was amazed he put up with all that nonsense.
ルカ、帰ったのかい？
I could hear his dad's voice coming from their home behind the shrine office.
はい、今行きます。
それじゃあ、俺はこれで。
はい、ありがとうございました、岡部さん。
Rukaku bowed deeply as I left Yanabayashi Shrine. On my way home, I thought about what the two of them had said.
でも水臭いにゃ。何か困ったことがあるならフェイリスたちにも話してくれればいいのにゃ。
そうです。僕じゃ お役に立てないかもしれないですけど、でもお話くらいなら。
He's surrounded by friends and support. I didn't realize until after they had spoken. I had gone to Kurisu before I had gone to anyone else. I brought up the app and started talking with her before I even realized it. She wasn't the real Kurisu, but that voice, the way she acted. Oh, sad scientist, it's okay. All of it reminded me of Kurisu. All of it brought back the emotions I tried to hide. There was an incoming call on my phone. Is it still Z? It was from Kurisu. She was probably there to complain about me hanging up on her earlier. That would be just like Kurisu. Can we please pick up the phone? But I didn't answer the phone. Wait, no. Hold on. What? Where's the keybind? Basic sound. Maybe it wasn't meant to be picked up. Okay. I didn't answer any of the other calls that came that day either. Oh no, Okabe. All right. The United States of America, California.
まったく、なんで私がこんなリポートしなきゃいけないのよ。
The reporter, Jessica Edmund, had rushed to the scene at her director's orders, and she was pissed off about it. She dreamed of Hollywood and even been in a movie once. So how did she end up reporting on this crap?
何でもいいから仕事をよこせと言ったのはお前だろう。
確かに言ったけど、だからってこんな事件。
落ちぶれた生意気な女優崩れを使ってやろうってんだ。感謝されたって文句言われる筋合いなんじゃない。
The heck?
なんですって？
それともここでも仕事をほっぽり出して逃げ出すか？何もかも中途半端で。そんなことだとガキの親権も取られちまうぞ。
Lose custody. Daughter? Son? Child? She hated herself for not being able to say anything. Her stupid pride got in the way. She dreamed of being a Hollywood actress, but all she had gotten was a small part in a B movie. It had never gone anywhere after that. Then she had a kid and came back home. Still, she loved her kid. She wanted to make sure that they were taken care of no matter what she had to do.
それで現場は？
その茂みの奥だ。
She went into the bushes, and there she saw it. What the heck is going on? Several bodies, all brutally mutilated. Of monkeys?
このように
Apes?
国内において行方不明になっている研究者は今年に入ってから5名。そのうちの3名についてはアーティフィシャルインテリジェンスの研究を行っていたとされており。
5 scientists had gone missing this year. 3 of the 5 were believed to have been researching AI.
そ
Okay.
の背後には人工知能技術の発展に反対する原理的宗教主義者たちによる活動も影響しているのではないかとみて、当局ではさらに捜査を続けている模様です。続きましては現場からのリポートです。ジェシカ？
こちら現場のジェシカ・エドモンドです。今朝早くこちらの現場で発見された遺体に関して当初人間のものと思われておりましたが、
However,
その後の警察の調べによりますと、それがチンパンジーやオランウータンといった複数の猿の死体であることが分かりました。 ただしこれらの遺体について一部脳および頭部が欠損しているものもあるとのことで、警察では猟奇的事件として地域住民への警戒を訴えており、
They're all missing their brains and parts of their heads. Tell me more.
なあ岡部、お前この後授業は？
いや、今日はもう終わりだよ。
We actually go to school.
そっか。じゃどっかで飯でも食ってく？
どうせまたカレーだろ。キッチン倒壊か？
Kitchen Tokai. Alright, let's see. What is that? Kitchen Tokai, a long established Western style restaurant located in Jinbocho. It offers delicious food at a reasonable price, so it's often filled to the brim with businessmen and students at lunchtime. The curry is especially popular. Japanese curry.
昨日ちょい臨時収入あったから今日は豪勢にもんでいいかな。
Mundi, a curry Japanese restaurant in Jinbocho. The restaurant is famous for its full-bodied European-style curry and is overall a little outside the price range of a college student. Each meal comes with endless fries. Endless fries! My gosh, now I want fries.
俺はやめておくよ。今月ちょっとピンチだし。
そっか。じゃまた今度な。
あ、
I was talking with my friends after class. I really started to get used to this. Before the summer, I felt really out of place at school, but now it didn't seem so bad. Back then, I thought I was special, but now I knew better. Oh no, you're special, Karin. You are. As long as you made the effort to fit in, you can find a place to belong. People can change. No, they change whether they want to or not. It was too late now, but I learned something about myself. It really was too
さ
late.
てと、それじゃあ帰って。ん？
Dr. Leskinen! I won't forget those yellow hair anywhere. As I headed for the exit, I realized that I had recognized one of the people passing through my field of vision. That was...
レスキネン教授？
My college went out of its way to attract exchange students, so it wasn't unusual to see foreigners. But still...
いない。
I hurried after him, but the person I just saw was already gone. Was it just mistaken? Come to think of it, the professor being here wouldn't be strange. He might have come to meet my advisor, Izaki. Izaki had wanted to get to know him.
今度教授に会ったら聞いてみよ
I glanced in the direction he had gone, but left the school for Akihabara. When I came out of the turnstile, Radikan was right in front of me, like always. The time machine that Suzuha had used to come here was probably still on the roof. Even if people didn't go up there often, it was still amazing that no one had found it after so long. Of course, that was all thanks to Ferris. She had rented out the roof of the building and sealed it off. Of course, I hadn't come here to look at that time machine. I've gotten messages from Lukaku and Ferris after I left the lab last night. Both of them had asked, and neither of them were able to find any useful information for me. It made sense when I thought about it. There was a missing person report. Somebody might remember the police doing something, but there wasn't. But Ferris had said something interesting.
でもおさげの幽霊が現れるって話を聞いたにゃ。
A ghost with twin tails? Well, let's be frank. Kagari didn't have twin tails. You know who had twin tails? Lenia, it's your favorite girl.
おさげの幽霊。
そうにゃ。なんでもその幽霊は何年間に一度現れて小さな女の子を見なかったかと探し回っているそうなのにゃ。
Nae has twin tails. Nae has twin tails. Just no.
何年経ってもその姿が変わらないから最近になっておさげの幽霊だって言われてるにゃ。
But let's be honest. I mean, at the same time, it could have been Suzuha, right? Like she doesn't have like, you know, the pigtails, but she has two of those like braids also, and she appears every few years, right? She was appearing every few years, so that was definitely Suzuha. Yeah, you're scared of her. What would she do? She knew people thought she was a ghost. I held back a laugh as I tried to imagine it, then headed for Larikon. My goal, of course, was to find information on Kagari. This was where she had vanished, which meant this was where I was most likely to find clues. I went around to each store inside Larikon and asked, but didn't learn anything. Of course, Suzuha would have done the same thing, so I didn't expect much. But that didn't mean I could just stop. The parts shops, the commercial facilities, even the back alleys. Even after all that, I went around Akihabara asking people about Kagari. But I didn't learn anything useful. Some people told me the same story about the ghost in Twin Tails, but no one knew anything about Kagari. If a little girl was kidnapped or got into an accident, somebody might witness that. But going missing was a different thing. If Shina Kagari vanished of her own free will, all anyone would see was a 10-year-old girl walking down the street. Nobody would remember that 10 years later. I tried to think again if there was a better way. If police and government weren't of any use, that left someone connected to the underworld.
裏世界ね。
The underworld. Do we know anyone of the underworld? As soon as I said it out loud, I drove the idea from my mind. How stupid. That's something the old me would have thought of. I'd given that stuff up.
そういえば。
I run all over Akihabara looking for something once before. I wasn't looking for a person then, but a thing. The IBN 5100. Daru must have access to the deep web. He must have. But he hasn't turned up anything, so... 6 months ago, in the Alpha World line, I had gone looking for the same thing that Suzuha had searched for in the past. Back then, that's right, Kurisu was with me. When Kurisu and I learned that there was an IBN 5100 in Lukako's storeroom, we'd work together to carry the heavy thing.
あんたね、前に進まないでよ。私が後ろ歩きしなくちゃいけないでしょ。横に動きなさい。
Thinking back, all she had ever done was complain. She was strong-willed, bratty, and hated to lose, but she was still so lonely. Once again, I'd taken my phone out of my pocket without realizing it. Amadeus. Since I hadn't picked up any of her calls yesterday, she hadn't called at all today. I stared at the amethyst icon for a moment and then put my phone back into my pocket. I probably should have tried clicking on it, shouldn't I? Oh well. When I got back to the lab, I saw Daru was completely exhausted. There was no need to even ask. It was obvious he hadn't found a single clue. Suzuha had been doing this for over half a year, so her face didn't betray her emotions anymore. Daru didn't even bother asking me how it went. He could probably tell from the look on my face.
考えてみたらさ、これまでだって鈴葉がそれなりに探してたわけでさ、それを僕ら素人が今更また蒸し返したところで新しい発見なんてあるわけないんだよな。
Daru said what I'd been thinking, but trying not to say.
手伝ってくれてありがとう。これ以上無理はしなくていい。捜索は私だけで続行するよ。
Suzuha evidently had no intention of giving up.
いや、ちょっと待って鈴葉。僕が言いたいのはさ、
父さんたちに無理させるわけにもいかないから。かがりの件は私の責任なんだし。
バカ言うなよ。子供の責任は親の責任だろ、上皇。
It's just, it's so weird to see him all protective and fatherly. Noob, net slang, short for newbie. Generally used on websites and in games to mock foolish behavior, attributing it to the target's inexperience. Variants include noob, etc.
父さん。
ね、今のどう？かなりパパっぽかったと思うんだけど、なんならパパ大好きって言って抱きついてくれてもいいのだぜ。
No, Daru. Watching these two always gave me a strange feeling. For a while after they first met, they were complete strangers. And now they were father and child. And age-wise, they were exactly the same. Maybe I could understand how Suzuha was feeling, but I had no idea what Daru was going through.
とにかく僕が言いたいのは、ただむやみやたらに探したところでダメだろってこと。
じゃあどうしろと言うんだ？
餅は餅屋って言うでしょ。こういうのはやっぱ専門家に頼むのが一番だと思うんだよね。
専門家？
こういうのはある程度裏の世界の情報にも精通してる人に頼むのが一番だろ、上皇。
The underworld. I realized he had come up with the same idea I had. My head hurt. Well, you know, the likes congregate, right?
心当たりがあるの？
ち、父さんを甘く見ないでほしいな。僕はオタだけど顔は広いのだぜ。
Lanier, you're right on the money there.
横幅も広いけどな。
Well known for being a tub of lard. That is mean, okay?
茶化すなっつーの。
っていうか、本気で言ってるのか？本気で裏の世界の人間とやらにつながりがあると？
ちょっと連絡取ってみる。
Before Suzuha or I could respond, he took out his phone and started typing a message to someone. Was he serious? And was text messaging the preferred way to get in touch with the criminal underworld?
どう思う？おじさん。
実際にそういう人物が本当にいるのなら頼んでみてもいいとは思うが。
In fairness, being a hacker was a pretty underworld sort of occupation too. If I knew someone like him, it was quite possible that the person he said he knew really existed.
よし、送信と。あとは返信が来れば。 お、
もう返事が来たの？
うん。今からそっちに向かいますって。
She is on her way?
随分と話が早い相手だな。
I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the only person I know who responds to texts that fast is Moika.
遅いよりはいいんじゃね？
That was true. Daru was sending another message. He was probably telling her where we were. Now all we have to do was wait for her arrival. And then the phone rang. Lukako.
もしもし、ルカ子か？
あ、岡部さん。すみません。今、大丈夫ですか？
おう、どうした？
実は、僕、岡部さんに相談したいことがあって。
相談？
今からお会いしてもらえないでしょうか？
今から電話じゃ言いにくいことなのか？
はい、少し。
Right now? Would it be okay to leave this to Daru and Suzuha?
悪い。これから客が来ることになっているんだ。
Oh no. I was interested to see what kind of person Daru's friend was.
そうですか。
その後からじゃダメか？
その後は僕も用事があって。
そうか。
Oh no. I don't know.
それじゃあ。
Just as Lukako was about to say something. High heels. I heard sharp footsteps coming up the stairs, and then a knock.
はい、どうぞ。
悪いルカ子、お客が来たようだ。後で連絡を。
And then I stopped. The person who opened the door, it was...
こいつ、また。
Oh yeah. I guess the Rounders count as the underworld, in a way? How did Daru get involved with her? It was Kiryu Moika. I hadn't seen her since the ATF seminar.
岡部さん、どうしたんですか？岡部さん。
お茶どうぞ。
Oh, keep your shit together. Moika was silent, with her head tilted slightly forward. Seeing her caused a dull ache within me, like my heart was being squeezed dry.
どうして？
Why was she here with Daru? I had any number of doubts in my mind.
どうしたん、オカリン？
いや。
Moika tilted her head a bit to the side, and I quickly averted my eyes. There was no connection between CERN and us anymore, so she wasn't going to kill Mayuri. She wasn't going to kill Mayuri. She wasn't going to kill Mayuri. She wasn't going to kill her. I said it to myself over and over again, and finally started to relax.
おじさん、顔色悪いよ。大丈夫？
気にしないでくれ。それよりもダル、説明してくれ。
ああ、この人は桐生氏。 ヘンプロのライターさんだよ。
An editorial company. A company that does editorial work or other special projects for a variety of publishing companies.
桐生萌香です。
Hi, Amazon. How are you? Happy Friday. Public company Arc Rewrite, publication development, editor-writer Kiryu Moika. She silently handed me her business card, which had the name of a company called Arc Rewrite on it. Arc Rewrite, an editing production company located in Akihabara. They primarily publish articles for computer magazines. Oh, hiding from the children. Daru gave a brief explanation to me and Suzuha.
なあダル、お前はどうしてこの人と知り合いに？
前にさ、ケリュウ氏の担当してる雑誌で秋葉関係の都市伝説を扱った特集があったんだよね。
Interesting. So, IBN 5100? Urban legends. Rumors whose source is unknown or unclear, mainly from the 20th century or later. They can be divided into ghost stories, occult stories, and folklore, but the differences between these three categories have become rather vague recently. Urban legends range from short, silly stories to absolutely terrifying and nightmarish, and all of them are told as if they really happened. Examples of urban legends include the Japanese urban legend Hanako-san, Shadow People, or the Men in Black.
その時に僕のバイトのこと取材したいって申し出があってさ。僕のバイトってほら、あんま大きな声で言えないやつっしょ。だから取材に関しては丁重にお断りしたんだけど、ただ僕って普段から足がつかないようにかなり注意してるんだよね。なのに桐生氏はその僕にたどり着いた。それが気になって。
His voice is hilarious. Yeah. I can't take him seriously. Occasionally, Daru does require a little bit of respect, but the key word here is occasionally.
で、会ってみたらこの通り、すげえ美人さんだったわけだ。都市伝説を追う美人ライターとか燃えざるを得ないだろう、上皇。
So and that's how they met. Suzuha was frowning as she saw how Daru acted around Moika. She didn't say anything, but I could tell she was thinking that he'd be better off directing his attention towards her mom. Moika, for her part, seemed completely uninterested in Daru. She was wearing her usual poker face and fiddling with her phone. She's still using a Japanese feature phone instead of a smartphone, huh?
まあ、専門ってわけじゃないけど、秋葉についてはかなり詳しいみたいだし、結構裏の方の事情も知ってるっぽいから頼んでみるのもありかなって。
人探し、そう聞いた。
うん、実はね、12年前に秋葉でいなくなった女の子を探してほしいんだお。
Oh yeah, they all do. Daru told Kiryu Moika the basic story. She was dead silent the whole time, but she typed his words into her phone with incredible speed. I said nothing and just watched. She was once a rounder. She probably still was. Was it okay to trust her? It was just a coincidence that I had run into her here. I knew that in my mind, but my heart just refused to accept it. But here in the beta word line, We never encountered Kiryu Moeka before. Of course we hadn't. I'd chosen the Beta World line so that we wouldn't, even though the cost was Makisaki Kurisu's life.
つまりその椎名かがりという人を探せばいいの。
そういうこと。どうかな。
やってみてもいい。
マジ？
でも見つかるかはわからない。
もちろん、その場合はしょうがないよ。
Normally, Moeka and I would never have run into each other like this. Of course, we might have crossed paths in Akihabara. We almost ran into each other when she'd come to interview Dr. Leskinen and Maho at the ATF seminar. But I convinced myself that we were never going to meet each other directly. Was this fate? Were she and I fated to cross paths at some point? If that was the case, maybe it was better not to try to avoid her, but to watch her to see what she did. As I listened to Daru talk to her, that was what I started to think.
じゃあ
Keep your
報酬
enemies
は成功
close.
報酬で、その他の必要経費はこっちで持つってことで OK？
問題ない。
オカリンも鈴葉もそれでいい？
私は手伝ってもらえるなら文句はない。
俺も構わない。
じゃあ契約成立ってことで一つ。
Moika nodded slightly and then asked us for information about Kagari that might be a clue. Stuff like the clothes she was wearing when she disappeared and what she looked like. After that, she left. All the tension suddenly drained from my body as I sank into the sofa.
おじさん、本当に大丈夫？
大丈夫だ。少し緊張しただけだから。
It was a little late, but I took some anxiety meds out of my pocket and swallowed them.
おじさん、さっきの桐生萌香って人のこと知ってたんだね。
え？
Okabe, you're so bad at lying, though. She could tell?
マジで？オカリンいつの間に？
どうしてそう思ったんだ？
見ていればわかるよ。
I guess you have to be pretty sharp to survive on the
いや、
battlefield.
知らない人だ。
アルファ世界線では知ってた？わかった。これ以上は聞かないけど、私なりに警戒はしておくよ。
それでいい。今はな。
She is... Suzuha is great.
一体何のこと？
緊張したっていうことさ。
わかるわ。桐生氏は美人で巨乳でスタイル抜群でメガネ属性まで持ってるもんな。しょうがない。
It's a different kind of nervous, but okay, Daru.
そうだな。
If she was a part of my life now, I would just have to use her as best I could. Maybe it was because she was gone now, or maybe it was because of the anxiety meds, but I'd calmed down enough to start thinking that way. Of course, who knew if I'd feel the same way the next time I saw her, face to face. All right, Maho, tell me your backstory. What is going on, girl? The Japanese office of the Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization in Wako City, Saitama. Hiyazo Maho had tried her best to hold back a yawn, but in the end, she'd given up and opened her mouth so wide It covered well over half her face. One reason was that she had gotten caught up in talking to Kurisu last night and only ended the conversation after it was late into the night. At first, they'd been discussing the research and experiments she'd been doing, but at some point she'd gotten sidetracked into talking about Okabe Rintaro. Evidently, he'd been ignoring calls from Kurisu for the past few days. Kurisu was much madder at him than she was when he'd ignored her the first 8 times. It was the first sign of femininity that she had ever seen from Makise Kurisu. It was cute enough that Maho couldn't help but take the chance to get back at her for all the teasing she always did. She ended up staying up a lot later than she intended. And since she was too energized to sleep by that point, she got out Kurisu's old laptop. She started to fiddle with it to see if there was some way to crack the password. Maybe you should just stop trying? I don't know. And the next thing she knew, it was morning.
パスワードね。やっぱりプロにでも頼んだ方がいいのかしら。
何の話だい？
She suddenly heard a voice behind her and almost jumped out of her chair.
そんなに驚くことないじゃないか。
教授、戻ってたんですか？
ついさっきね。
Thanks for dropping by, Amazon. It was always good seeing you. Have a wonderful night. He raised up his hands and showed her some plastic bags from a nearby convenience store. He left to go get lunch just 10 minutes ago, and she'd been sure he wouldn't be back for a while.
それにしても日本のコンビニは食べ物の種類がいっぱいで本当に素晴らしいね。
I have to say, Asian convenience stores are the best. They have excellent food options.
毎日違う弁当を食べても1週間もすればすぐに新しい弁当が出る。しかも店によっても味が違うから毎日コンビニでも飽きないよ。
コンビニのお弁当ばかり食べていると栄養偏りますよ。
それでもアメリカの食事に比べればかなりヘルシーだよ。第一、食事についてのお説教だけは魔法には言われたくないね。
Maho, are you also a fried chicken goblin? He was right. Nutrition wasn't an important consideration for Maho. In fact, she ate mostly cereal. She ate mostly cereal and meal replacement shakes, which made her diet very unhealthy.
ところで何をプロに頼むって？
あれは何でもないです。何でも。
Interesting. So she would hide that from Dr. Leskinen, but felt comfortable enough to discuss it with Okabe. It wouldn't bother her if Leskinen found out, but for some reason she suddenly decided not to tell him.
そうかい？私でできることなら力になるよ。
ありがとうございます。その時はお願いします。
She stood up and headed for the door.
魔法、どこへ行くんだい？
気分転換も兼ねて秋葉原に行こうかと。
気分転換で行くにしては随分遠いね。 ウィンターローに会いに行くと素直に言えば許可しよ
I mean,
そんなんじゃ。
う。違うのかい？
ついでに会いに行ってもいいですけど。
is Maho really going to be our love interest in this visual novel? I don't know how I feel about that. Okabe had a laboratory in Akihabara. Kurisu had told her that last night. She said something about how he'd been avoiding it for a long time and only recently started going there again. Maho was a little interested in it too.
言っときますけど違いますからね。そういうのじゃないですからね。
私はまだ何も言ってないよ。
というわけで、今日は研究は休みます。
Wait, hold on. Maho is 22, isn't she? That would be the same age as Kagari?
ウィンターローによろしく。
Maybe just a coincidence. First Kurisu and now the professor. Why do they keep trying to make everything out about romance?
っていうか、ああいうのもセクハラよね。今の世の中じゃ。
For one thing, she wasn't going to Okabe's lab just to visit him. She wanted to see him again. I thought she was 24. Maybe she was 24. I didn't write it down. She was in her 20s. Yeah, maybe she was 24. You might be right. She wanted to see him again and see if she could get any hints about the password. Yeah, said he didn't know, but he'd probably be able to come up with more than she could on her own. Why? Okay. Is Maho's intentions really as innocent as she claims? She is very insistent on trying to crack Kurisu's laptop. That was what she had thought after seeing how he interacted with Amadeus. You could call it a woman's intuition. She was thinking about that when she changed trains and got off at Akihabara station. She felt like someone was watching her and spun around. It was a weekday and the station was crowded. She looked around at all the people, but none of them seemed to be paying her much attention.
気のせいよね。
Okay, so there were, 5 people? 5 scientists gone missing. 3 of them was focusing or studying AI. Could those 3, I mean, I don't know, but like Makise Kurisu, Maho, and Luskinen, that's 3. I don't know how they all connect together, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. She whispered to no one in particular as she started to walk again. Kurisu had told her the location of the Future Gadgets lab. She wasn't that familiar with the layout of Akihabara, but if she needed to, she could ask her for directions. But what if she came in unannounced and Okabe wasn't there? That bothered her a little, but she decided she could just leave if that happened. Her eyes lingered on the junk parts lined up in the bins at the shops as she walked, and she felt someone looking at her again. Okay, so Maho has a stalker? Let's write that down. That's no good. She started walking again, then went around a corner into an alley. And then she was sure of it. Footsteps. She could hear them behind her. Of course, that was nothing special. She would often be out walking at night and hear footsteps behind her. She'd speed up her pace only to see an irritated man walking past. A moment later. But this time, for some reason, she was sure it wasn't that. She decided to try walking faster and found the footsteps went faster too. When she went slower, so did they. Whenever she saw a scene like this in a movie, she imagined that she just kicked the guy in the face. Now that it was actually happening, she was too scared to turn around. She fumbled for the phone in her pocket. The idea of calling the police never occurred to her. The only thing she thought of was the name of the man she was trying to meet. She picked it out of her call history and pressed the button with trembling fingers.
お願い。
The footsteps overlapped with the sound of the ringing.
岡部さん、助けて。
The footsteps were almost on top of her, just when she couldn't take it anymore and was about to start running.
もしもし
She heard a voice coming from the other side of the phone.
もしもし、岡部さん。私、ヒヤ城です。今、あなたのラボのすぐ近くまで。
But she didn't get to say another word. By the time she'd realized that someone had grabbed her from behind, the phone had already slipped from her hands. What? She got kidnapped?
これは
Uh-oh. I asked Kurisu Moeka. Oh my gosh, my brain. I asked Kiryu Moeka as I took the papers she offered me silently. She had contacted Daru just 10 minutes ago and told him she was on her way to the lab. And she had arrived right on time, at the time she said she would. She must have been very close when she had contacted him. Kurisu Moeka, I know my brain is melting, can you tell? What was she going to do if no one was here?
報告書。
Evidently, it was a report about her investigation thus far. The stack of papers was shaking a little in my hands. I still felt some unease when Moeka was in my presence. Maybe it was just because of the anxiety meds I had taken right after she said she was coming, but I was still doing a lot better than yesterday.
どう？おじさん。
やっぱりそう簡単に見つかるもんじゃないな。
そう。
She must have been expecting something, at least a little. There was an obvious tone of disappointment in her voice.
かがり。どこで何してるんだろう。
With no way to answer her, I just silently flipped through the pages of the report.
どうしたん、オカリン。なんか有力な手がかりでもあったん？
いや、そういうわけじゃないんだが。
見せて。
I handed the report over to Suzuha without complaint. I pointed to the part that interested me with my finger.
調査の中で一つ興味深い事実が浮かび上がった。この 1,2 ヶ月の間で椎名かがりという名の女性を探している人物が私たち以外にも存在するらしいということ。
That is interesting.
どういうこと？
読んだままの通り。
Which meant... Alright, phone, let's pick it up. This is Maho right before her kidnapped. Normally, I just ignore her and call her back, but let me pick it up.
悪い。ちょっといいか。
For some reason, I had to answer. That's what it felt like.
もしもし。
もしもし岡部さん、私ヒヤジョです。
She sounded on the verge of panic, and my voice naturally rose to match hers.
どうしたヒアジョさん。
今あなたのラボのすぐ近くまで。
Immediately afterwards, I heard what sounded like a struggle and then something hitting something else.
ヒアジョさんヒアジョさんどうした
And then there was only silence.
オカリン、何かあったん？
Are people like kidnapping scientists who are studying AI to force them to do experiments or something? From the tone of her voice, it was obviously something bad had happened.
知り合いが誰かに襲われてる。
マジ？知り合いって誰？
But I didn't stay to answer his question. I grabbed the nearest thing that could serve as a weapon and ran out of the lab. She said she was close to the lab. If she was coming from the station and had chosen a route that not many people would go down, she was probably the alley directly in front of the lab. I saw someone there. They were tall and slender, and I could see a tiny silhouette struggling behind them. I knew it. The only girl I knew that size was Mao. The shade! The shade!
やめて、話してってば。
Okay. Sorry, we have to do this. How do I think it's... She's wearing 2 different shoes. I love it. Her 2 slippers are different. And she looks like a child. Oh. Okay, we're back. Someone had grabbed her, and she was trying desperately to escape.
ヒアジョさん
Who's this? Oh, you have the lightsaber on you? Oh my gosh. The person who was holding her turned in surprise at my voice.
女
I mean, a woman can be a kidnapper too, right? It was only then that I realized it was a woman and that she wasn't Japanese.
岡部さん。
おいヒアジョさんを離せ
Did she not understand me? No, but she would have been able to guess what I was getting at.
その子を離せ
I tried to strike a threatening pose with the weapon in my hand. I finally realized that what I've brought was the Siloom saber. Still, it would serve as a bluff.
もう一度言うぞその子を
違うの、岡部さん。
え
It wasn't? It wasn't like what? Who is this? The woman let go of Maho and smiled. She walked towards me with her arms open wide.
Are you Maho's boyfriend?
Why does everyone think we're Maho's boyfriend?
はあちょ
Before I could ask what was going on, she'd wrapped her hands around my back and given me a firm hug.
だから違うって言ってるのに。
I had no idea what the hell was going on, but the 2 soft objects pressed into my chest kept me from moving.
それじゃあこの人はヒアジョさんの知り合いなのか
ごめんなさい。
私が早とちりしたせいで。
I'm Judy Reyes. Pleasure meeting you, Mr. Okabe.
The woman named Judy Reyes offered me her hand. Her broad smile like the sun itself.
Nice to meet you.
日本語でいいわよ。
教授って日本語喋れたんですか？
Ah, not a professor. Okay.
実はね。
知らなかった。でもどうして？
女も私くらいの年になるといろいろあるのよ。
Her mischievous wink looked pretty good on her.
それじゃあ改めて。ジュディ・レイエスよ。よろしくね。
I returned her handshake.
岡部倫太郎です。
レイエス教授は今度日本で開かれる AI 関係の学会に出席するために来日したんですって。
Another AI researcher. Okay.
教授っていうことはビクトル・コンドリア大学の
Judy Reyes.
サイコフィシオロジーを研究してるわ。
Psychophysiology.
Psychophy.
The music is pretty good.
精神生理学のことよ。つまり脳の活動によってもたらされる心の働きとか心の病気なんかについての研究をされているの。そういう意味では私たちの研究よりもずっと人の役に立つ研究をされていると言っていいかもしれないわね。
そんなことないわ。あなたたちのアマデウスだってこれからの発展次第では十分に役に立つ技術になるわよ。
そう言っていただけると嬉しいです。
In short, Dr. Reyes had happened to see Maho on the streets of Akihabara and had decided to surprise her by grabbing her from behind
でも
and
レイ
chase her
エス
for
教
a
授
very
も
long
人が悪
time.
いですよ。駅からつけてくるなんて。
つける？魔法？私が？
Maybe it was someone else.
後ろをついてきてましたよね、ずっと。
そんなことしてないわ。私はさっきそこのショップでたまたま魔法を見つけたからちょっと驚かそうと思っただけよ。
So Maho does have a stalker, actually. Maho had only just relaxed when Dr. Rai's answer drained her face of its
ヒ
color.
アジョーさんつけられていたのか。
ええ、確かにそう感じたんだけど。
レイエス教授誰か怪しい人物を見かけたりは。
Dr. Reyes denied it with that unique shrug that foreigners always do. I looked back over the alley, but of course, I didn't see anyone.
じゃあ私の勘違いだったのかしら。
きっとそうだわ。だって日本は世界一治安のいい国でしょ。
Japan is actually incredibly safe. Was it?
魔法はこの後どうするの？
私は
Reyes seemed to sense something in Maho's silence.
なるほど、そういうこと。それじゃあ私は行くわね。リンタロもそのうちゆっくり話しましょう。
Oh no, it's not like that.
バイ。
She gave me a meaningful wink as she left. The station was in the opposite direction. Should I have said something? I got a strange sense that she was feeling me out, but it seemed like a waste of time to resist.
というわけで彼女がヒアジョーさんだ。ほら前にセミナーで会ったって話したことがあっただろ。
お騒がせしてごめんなさい。
I ended up taking Maho back to the lab, where everyone was waiting for my return. Suzuha had actually gone out once to look for me, but evidently, by the time I was already gone.
ま、でも何事もなくてよかった。
After I gave an introduction and an explanation, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Maho seemed to want to ask a lot of questions about the lab, but I had something I had to finish first.
すまん。どこまで話したんだったか。
他にもカガリタンを探してる人間がいるって話。
そう、それだ。それは本当なんですか、桐生さん。
本当。
I looked back down at Moika's report, where she had written all the details. She even hired a private investigator to check it out, which meant that it was probably true.
それが鈴葉という可能性はないんだろうか。
それは私も考えた。でも
探していたのは男の人。中には外国人も。
Foreigners. Hi, Hordian. How are you? Happy Friday. Why would they be looking for Kagari?
こっちでかがりと関わりがあるのは私だけだ。それなのに一体誰が。
Could it be CERN? Maybe CERN realized that she was from the future and had gone looking for her. But if that was the case, then Moika would have known about it. No, the rounders were all given their orders individually, so it would make sense if she didn't know what the others were up to.
椎名かがりはこっちに来てもう12年にもなる。その間、知り合いができたとしてもおかしいことじゃないな。
You're drunk at the company's barbecue. Eat more barbecue, it'll help. Thank you. You're awesome too. It's always good to see you though, Hordian. Have fun at the barbecue. I'm sure it's beautiful and a lot of fun. And as always, I appreciate you dropping by. It's always great to see you.
つうか、むしろ誰かの世話にならないと生きていけないっしょ。
That's true.
つまり、この報告からわかるのは、椎名かがりを知る何者かが、ここ最近何らかの理由から彼女を探しているということと。
Okay, I'm gonna write this down because there's no way I'm gonna remember this on Monday. So someone else, I mean multiple people, right? Because there are men and foreigners looking for Kagari too.
「少なくとも最近まで椎名かがりが生きていたっていうことだ。
At least until recently she was alive.
あ、そっか。
Thanks, Hordian. You have fun too. Unless they could travel through time like Suzuha if they were looking for her. That meant they'd known where she was until she disappeared. If people had started looking for her in the last few months, that meant she had been alive until then. Oh, could Shina Kagari be one of the scientists? Like the scientists who disappeared back in the news report? She may have been one of them? There was nothing else to do. There was nothing else to be learned from Moika's report.
どうする？
引き続き調査をお願いできますか？
If people were looking for Kagari in Akihabara, that meant she might still be here.
わかった。
Moika took her payment for the work she had done so far and left the lab. Daru had paid the bill. It seemed that when his future daughter was at stake, he was willing to spend money. Who's paying for all this investigation? Daru. Oh, Daru and his hacker money.
人を探しているの？
Maho had been looking around the lab with interest.
まあちょっと知人をな。
It worried me that some of the people looking for Shina Kagari were Japanese. Alright, let's see. Phone. Line. Hey, Okarin, what time are you getting home today? Oh, something going on? I shouldn't be that late. I won't be coming home tonight. Oh. Something going on? I met your mom and she asked me to cook tonight. Mayuri is a notorious terrible cook. What? She has to go to a meeting for the shopping street. And she wasn't sure what to do for dinner. So Maishi said she'd do the cooking and she said that was okay. Are you sure? You're busy too, aren't you, Mayuri? You don't have to do it. It's fine, I'll make something good. Come home soon. I see. Really? Seriously? I'll be waiting. Danger. Okay, so they weren't Japanese. Even outside of CERN, there were people all over the world who would jump at the chance to learn more about the time machine. If they somehow learned that Kagari was from the future, that could mean she was caught up in some kind of trouble.
それじゃオカリン、そろそろ冷や上司のことを詳しく。
Deeds, please. That's slang, short for further details, please.
詳しくって言われても前に説明したぞ。
She was Dr. Luskinen's assistant, and both she and the professor had been very good to me. I was helping with their work a little. I told him all this before. Deeds.
例えば冷や上司がこのラボのメンバーに加わってくれる的な超展開はありますか？
Asshole. When a story in a game, anime, novel, or any other piece of media takes a sudden turn in a completely unexpected direction that ignores all of the plot and foreshadowing that occurred up to that point, it has a similar connotation to the metafiction term. Deus Ex Machina? In the face of such an unexpected turn of events, the consumer is left utterly puzzled and struggling to keep up.
ないだろう。
じゃあせめて魔法タンと呼んでもいいですか？つうか呼ぶ！
魔法タン？
あれ？名前間違ってた？
そうじゃなくて、その変な呼び方に引っかかったの。
Aspo, I'm learning so much today. I was today years old when I learned about Aspo too. Didn't know what it was.
でも魔法タンは魔法タンって感じじゃん。なあオカリン。
俺に振るな。
とにかくその呼び方はやめて。
だが断る。
He never changes, does he?
それで冷や嬢さん、今日はどうしてラボに？俺、ここのことは君に話したかな？
アマデウスに教えてもらったわ。今日は本来は話したいことがあったのだけれど、まあいいわ。噂のラボを見ることができたし、それになんだかあなたたちも大変みたいだから。
ひょっとしてあいつ怒ってたか？
ええ、とても怒ってたわ。連絡しても出ないって。
That's exactly what I expected, yeah.
何それ何の話？
That is very gossipy too.
別に浮いた話じゃないからいちいち反応するなって。
岡部さん、やっぱり辛いの？だったらテスターやめてもらっても。
あ、いや、そういうわけじゃないんだ。ただ
I hate how I was starting to feel dependent on her.
また気が向いた時にでも話してあげて。あの子も寂しがってるわ。
わかった。
The word lonely made my heart ache a little. But even so, I still didn't talk to Kurisu that day. Several days had passed since Moika had given her report. I checked last night, and evidently there was nothing new to say. She had deadlines for her magazine, she said, and couldn't spend a lot of time on it. The other group of people who were searching for Shina Kagari concerned me, but I couldn't ask her to prioritize it over her own work.
マユシーはとっても残念なのです。
ん？もしかしてクリスマスパーティーの話か？
楓さんと吹雪ちゃん用ができちゃったって。フェリスちゃんはお仕事で、ナエちゃんも店長さんと過ごすことになってて、ダルくんはユキさんと遊びに行くんだって。
Daru and Yuki. Progress? I'm sure Suzuha is elated.
結構なことじゃないか。
I'd heard that Suzuha had gone through a lot of work to set out. Okay. She was always complaining that Daru was making his intentions clear with Yuki. From Suzuha's perspective, her own existence was at stake. I know. She has to set them up. Even if it was already fated to happen, something still might interrupt it. More than anything, she probably wanted to see her mom and dad getting along in this peaceful world. If something came out of this, it would probably make her feel better.
マユリもクリスマスは家で過ごした方がいいんじゃないのか？この前、おじさんがケーキを予約してたぞ。
お父さんに会ったの？
家の近くでばったりな。マユリをびっくりさせるために大きいのを予約するんだって張り切ってた。
そっか。じゃあその方がいいね。
あ、言っとくが、今のは聞かなかったことにしてくれ。せっかくのおじさんのサプライズだからな。
わかったよ。でもオカリンはどうするの？クリスマス。
特に予定はないかな。うちはもともとそういうことする家でもないし。
The guys at school were having a men-only drinking party, but I hadn't been invited. I kept telling them she wasn't, but they insisted on thinking that Mayuri was my girlfriend. Some of them had it out for me because of that.
確かサンタさんにプレゼントが欲しいって言ったら、朝枕元にお野菜が置いてあったんだよね。
どう見ても前の日の売れ残りのな。クレームをつけたら、うちはキリスト教じゃねえって逆ギレされた。
Honestly, I'm amazed I actually grew up alright. Well, if you could call how I ended up alright.
クリスマスが終わったらゴミ間があって、そしたらもうお正月。1年あっという間だね。
そうだな。
It hadn't flown by me. It hadn't flown by for me at all. I'd gone through the same span of days again and again. For me, the year had for me, the year had been unimaginably long.
そうだねえオカリン、クリスマスパーティーはできないけどお正月パーティーをするのはどうかな。みんなで初詣に行ってそれからおせち料理を食べて今年もよろしくって言って。
ああ、いいんじゃないか。
だよねだよね。じゃあ後でみんなに聞いてみるね。
Mayuri stood up to go.
さてとマユシーはこれからお買い物に行ってきます。
買い物？
ふぶきちゃん用のコスでね、急に小物が必要になっちゃって。
そうか。気をつけて行ってこいよ。
そうだオカリン、ルカ君がねオカリンに何か相談があるみたいなの。
Yeah, we have forgotten about that. We turned Rukako down.
Oh.
That's right, Rukako had called me. After that Moika had come and so much had happened that I'd forgotten. Knowing Rukako, since I told him I'd call him back, he'd probably been waiting for me this whole
わかっ
time.
た。こっちから連絡を取ってみる。
お願いね。じゃあ行ってきまーす。
Mayuri put on her coat, waved, and went out the door. All right, I should get in touch with Rukako. Rukako. Phone. Luka. Yes.
ルカ子のやつ出ないな。
Oh well. I'd have to send him a line. All right, let's send him a line. Sorry, I forgot all about yesterday. And then I waited a while for a response to come back, but there was no sign of him even reading the Ryan message. Was he busy with something? For a moment, I thought of going to the shrine to see, but if he was busy, I didn't want to bother him. Have a good night, Hurt. Bye. Thank you for dropping by. He had contacted me when he had time. Just when I was thinking about that, I heard footsteps coming up the stairs outside the lab. It didn't sound like Daru. Daru's steps were a lot heavier.
どうぞ。
こんにちは。
Luka, what up?
ルカ子。
よかった。岡部さん、ここにいてくれて。
It was Lukako, the boy I've just been trying to get a hold of.
すまない。この前の件すっかり忘れてたんだ。それでさっき電話したんだが。
あ、本当だ。ごめんなさい。僕の方こそ気づかなくて。
He looked a little guilty, as if he had done something wrong.
いや、別にいいよ。それより寒いだろ。入ってくれ。
はい。
But he hesitated, seemingly distracted by something behind him.
岡部さん、相談の件なんですけど、実はその前に会ってもらいたい人がいて連れてきたんですけど。
Why is everyone introducing us to new people?
会っ
What's
て
going
もらいた
on?
い人？
Lukako moved slightly to the side, and a girl appeared behind him. Kagari?
はじめまして。
What? Yup, that's Kagari. Impossible. The girl there was. That's Kagari. The bang. She looked identical to Kurise, though.
よろしくお願いします。
Very different mannerism.
どうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
She seemed... I don't know. Out of her element. I don't know why. I offered her a cup of tea, and oh wow, okay. I offered her a cup of tea I poured out of a plastic bottle, and she thanked me in a voice that was almost impossible to hear. For my part, it was all I could do to keep the hand holding the cup from trembling. I took another good look at the girl sitting across from me.
似てる。
Not like Lukako. The girl in front of me looked just like Makise Kurise. Her tawny hair, her slightly slanted eyes, her unconcerned expression. Right now, there was no sign of her strong-willed nature, but other than that, they were identical. When I first seen her, my heart felt like it was going to stop, but on closer inspection, some parts were different, like the size of her breasts. You've been spending too long with Daru. Was she about her age? She looked older than Lukako. I knew Lukako had a sister. Could this be her? She had a quiet air about her that seemed similar to Lukako. But I thought I remembered hearing Lukako's sister was actually quite cheerful.
Okabe-san?
Holy moly,
Yeah.
I know.
それで、ルカ子は
I think this is Kagari. I think we found her.
ルカ子？
ああ、失礼。俺はそう呼んでるんです。その、女の子みたいだから。
I just realized I was a pretty rude nickname. Yes, it was. But it was a habit now. And there was no changing it.
そうなんですね。
Her expression softened just a little. She really did look just like her. I took a shallow breath and forced myself to relax.
ルカ子、この人は
その前に話したことがありましたよね。お父さんのお客さんが泊まってるって。
So what is her connection with Yanabayashi Shrine?
ああ、聞いたけど、それじゃもしかして彼女が？
はい。
That was a surprise.
ルカ子の父親の知り合いというから、てっきりもっと年配の人かと思っていた。
あ、違うんです。正確に言うと、お父さんの知人が連れてこられた方で。
おお。
So this wasn't the person who was talking about Harumi. That made me feel a lot better.
それで相談というのはこの人についてなんですけど。
その前に名前を教えてもらってもいいかな。いつまでもこの人じゃ話しにくいだろ。
Alright. Do we think the chapter will cut off as soon as she says Shina Kagari? Her face clouded. Did I say something wrong?
実は相談というのはそのことなんです。この人が誰なのかを知るにはどうしたらいいでしょうか。
How can we find out who this girl is? What? Okay, so your father's visitor brought a girl into your shrine and no one knows who she is? It took a moment before I understood what he
待ってく
said.
れルカ子。それはどういう。
記憶喪失なんだそうです。
Amnesia. Why? Why are visual novels like this? Why do games do this? Okay. So I think all we need is what's her face to be here? Suzuha. We need Suzuha here. Suzuha is the only person who've seen. Well, I guess we've also seen Kagari as a young girl in that photo. So I don't know.
記憶喪失。
はい。
それじゃあ名前も。
はい。
どこの誰かも。
はい。
どうして。
わかりません。
Also, why is that like our job? I have so many questions. Of course not. If she knew, she wouldn't have amnesia.
どうして俺に。
岡部さんなら記憶を取り戻すいい方法を知っているんじゃないかと思って。
I guess with the time leap machine, but we don't have that anymore.
ほら、岡部さん、よく人間の脳とか記憶とかすごく難しい話をたくさんしてたから。
何でもいいんです。私が自分のことを取り戻せる方法があれば。
待ってくれ。確かにそういう話はしていたが、それはただ興味があるだけで。専門的なことは何も。
You guys need a doctor. I don't know. I knew how brain worked and how it was laid out, and I knew what amnesia was, but bringing back someone's memories was a whole different matter. Even the latest medical technology would be useless. Unless, of course, you had your memory stored on a system like Amadeus.
そうですか。
So I wonder if people are looking for her because they actually knew her and she doesn't know who they are, or, you know, maybe they made a promise to each other to meet somewhere or whatever because she had retrograde amnesia. The girl was visibly disappointed.
だったら何か身元を調べることはできないでしょうか。かなさん、本当に辛そうで。
Kana-san. You have a name for her.
かなさん。
仮の名前だからかなと。ルカさんのお父さんが名前がないと不便だからって。
ずいぶん安直だな。
Was that okay?
いつまでも名乗る名前でないのだから、それくらいの方がいいと。
I couldn't tell if that was deep or
岡
not.
部さん、なんとかならないでしょうか。せめて名前だけでもわかれば。
なんとか力になってはやりたいが、やっぱり更新所なんかに頼んだ方がいいんじゃないのか。
更新所、探偵さんみたいなものですか。
ああ、でもそれだって何か手がかりのようなものがないと厳しいだろう。財布とかカバンとか持ってなかったのか。
そういったものは何も。
No belongings, just a girl. What the heck? Now I think the Yanabashi Shrine is shady.
何も。別に大したものじゃなくてもいい。一つくらいありそうなものだけど。
一つだけ。ただこれが手がかりになるのかどうかは。
Is it the pin or the upa? Maybe it's the upa that Mayuri gave her. The keychain. Oh, it's not. Dang it. She slowly took out the handkerchief. I was so excited. She slowly took out a handkerchief. as if it was something that was very important to her. Whatever was inside must have been the one thing she was carrying.
見せてもらっても。
はい。あれ、もしかしてお客さんかな？
I'm very disappointed. I don't know. Maybe the handkerchief contains the upa. Maybe it is the upa. I want it to be the upa. Almost at the exact same time Kana opened the handkerchief, I heard Mayuri's soft voice coming from the front hall. Evidently, she was back from shopping. Suzuha was behind her too. That was a rare combination. Had they run into each other on the way?
Mayuri-chan.
ルカくん。ルカ兄さん、そちらの人は？
うちに泊まっているお客さんで。
You don't even recognize her. Suzuha, I'm disappointed. I am disappointed. Kana bowed her head a little. For some reason, Mayuri gave a happy little sigh as she looked at the handkerchief in Kana's hands. It is the upa. Very good. Inside the white handkerchief was a faded upa keychain.
マユシーもね、ウーパのこと大好きなのです。
もしかして手がかりというのはそれか？
It was an old upa keychain. Was that really a clue?
でも、このウーパ、いつ頃のものかな？ずいぶん古いみたいだけど。
It really did, come to think of it. Upa was a character from the Raine Kakeru anime. Oh my gosh, let's go. Raine Kakeru, a popular manga serialized. Okay, I guess that's a word. Serialized in local comics. The third season of the anime adaptation is currently airing every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Total TV. Although the series is ostensibly aimed at children, the realistic themes depicted also appeal to adults. Upa products had only been around for a few years now, but the one I was looking at was very old.
これ、もともとは緑色だったんじゃないかな。だってこれ、森の妖精さんバージョンだもん。
森の妖精さん？
この前やってた映画に出てきたんだ。ほら、マユシーも持ってるんだけど、ここのところのデザインがちょっとだけ違うの。
Wait, Mayuri likes to write her name on these things, right? Like she wrote her name on the metal upa. Did she write her name on this? I couldn't see any difference at all.
このキーホルダーね、なかなか売ってなくてずーっと探してたんだ。そしたらこの前ルカくんが見つけて買ってきてくれたの。ね
え。たまたまお店を覗いたら売ってたから。
しかし妙だな。この前の映画のグッズなら発売してすぐのはずだ。こんなに古くは。
Kana. Only then did I realize how pale Kana-san's face was.
大丈夫ですか？カナさん。
具合が悪いのか？
大丈夫。
Is it coming back to her? Oh gosh. Kana tried to stand up and almost fell forward. Rukako quickly grabbed her.
そうだ。何か冷たいものを。
I went to get a bottle of water out of the fridge when I noticed that Suzuha was staring at Kana in shock. Yes! Finally? Is it clicking?
鈴葉
そう。
え
Strangely, Kana wasn't the only one who was shaking a little. Suzuha was too.
嘘。そのウーパー。
どうしたんだ鈴葉
私は知ってる。そのウーパー、それ。
おい鈴葉
Okay, so is the reason why Kana having so much reaction to this is just us talking about the Uka unlocking her memories? Or is it because she saw Mayuri's Upa and made the connection? Oh no, she recognizes Suzuha, I guess. Kana staggered a few steps towards Suzuha and then fell a few steps more. It couldn't be. No, there was just no way, but...
もしかして、お前。かがり。
What?
お前はかがり？椎名かがりなのか？
Kana's eyes went wide. So she was faking amnesia this whole time? And she slowly collapsed on the floor. I have so many questions, but... I guess that's a good point to stop, given that we just crossed into a new chapter. Let me save over. I have many questions. What happened in the past 12 years? Let's save. I don't... Yeah, right? What is going on? Curious, but I guess we'll find out on Monday or tomorrow, right? Depending on how quickly we finish the alternate endings. I hope you guys are excited for that because I am absolutely excited for it. It was something that I kept flipping back and forth of saying whether or not I was going to do, but alternate endings, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just, especially after the true ending and then being able to go back and see what the differences are and have a tub of ice cream tomorrow, I think. I think the alternate endings are all going to be sad. I think. I don't know. I can't quite say it for sure, but I imagine they'd be sad knowing that we've eventually gotten to the perfect world. So that'll be interesting, but that's it. That's all I've got. Anyone we can raid? Let's see. Anyone we can raid? Oh, Cersei is playing Sons of Forest. I guess we'll go give him a quick raid back. He raided us a couple times in the past. Yeah, no, thank you for coming by, Maki. It's always good to see you. Yeah. All right, let me get the raid started.